Insights into Entertainment, Episode 125, The Little Ladies Band.
Insightful podcasts by informative hosts. Insights into Things, a podcast network. Welcome to Insights into Entertainment, a podcast series taking a deeper look into entertainment and media. Your hosts, Joseph and Michelle Whalen, a husband and wife team of pop culture fanatics, are exploring all things from music and movies to television and fandom.
Welcome to Insights into Entertainment. This is episode 125, the squeaky microphone. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Episode 125, The Little Ladies Man. I'm your host, Joseph Whalen, and my brilliant and inspiring co-host with the squeaky mic, Michelle Whalen.
Hi, everyone.
Yes, let's not move that mic stand until we grease it up a little bit.
Whatever.
How are you doing today, sweetheart?
I am fantastic.
I'm so glad to hear that. How's your week been?
Busy.
Yeah.
Very.
That's what happens when you have to go into the office, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do that 5 days a week, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll stop making fun of you so you don't throw anything at me.
Right. Mm-hmm. Probably best that way.
Kind of a slow news week this week. Not a lot going on. A couple of quick stories here, so it's probably not going to be that long of a show. So today, in our Disney Detective, we'll take a look at a 4-year-old true gentleman in the Magic Kingdom and an extra magical way to skip lines at the parks. Then in our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy, Hasbro's newest wares are on display, plus the art of Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 2. And get ready with your prop. And for our new entertainment news, who's going around the world in 80 days? Plus Netflix buys The Chocolate Factory and more. Gotta get a fishing wire on that next time.
There you go. We'll plan better next time.
As always, we'll finish up with our insightful picks of the week and some afterthoughts. But before we do that, I would like to invite our listening and viewing audience to subscribe to the podcast. You can get audio versions of this podcast listed as Insights into Entertainment. Video versions of all of our podcasts can be found listed as Insights into Things. We're available on Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, any place you can get a podcast these days. I would also invite you to write to us, give us your feedback. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. You can find us on Twitter at twitter.com/insights_things. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/insightsintothingspodcast or Instagram at instagram.com/insightsintothings. Or you can get us on our official website at www.insightsintothings.com, which does work this week.
Oh, well, that's good.
Didn't work last week.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, are we ready to get started?
Sure.
All right.
I don't think that's the sound you wanted.
That's the wrong soundboard. Hang on a second here. That's the one thing that I didn't check in pre-production. There we go.
Oh, that's funny.
It's always something, right?
Well, you know what?
Just goes to show you that we're a homegrown studio here.
Absolutely.
Go with Disney Detective.
So maybe chivalry is not dead in today's day and age. Well, at least not in one 4-year-old. In a recent visit to Disney's Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World, young Bernardo was captured making a gentlemanly gesture to a few of the beloved princesses. His mother, Vanessa, a resident of Florida, recently posted the footage on TikTok. In a brief clip, the young man is seen from behind watching a parade of characters pass by, including Snow White and other princesses. Some of them were walking, and some of them were riding on floats. And before first politely waving by the cavalcade, Bernardo takes his hat and tips it off to the ladies. Appropriately enough, it's a baseball-style hat with Mickey ears. The princesses, in turn, respond to his gesture in their own magical way. Some of them are waving, and others take the gesture one step further and even curtsying in response. So the clip had over 30 million views, with many of the viewers commenting on how it brought them to tears seeing this 4-year-old true gentleman. Speaking to Fox News, his mother commented that he's a great kid, very polite and happy. He loves Disney movies such as Beauty and the Beast, The Incredibles, Monsters, Inc., but his favorite is Toy Story. His mom captioned the video, "Disney's True Prince."
That's got to be the cutest thing I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it's a quick, 23-second video.
It's not long at all.
And you just, see him from behind, and every time the princess comes by, he just takes his hat and tips it off, and just seeing the response of the princesses.
Just the reaction that they had, how surprised they were.
Like, oh, or they'd curtsy or bow to him, and it was just adorable.
It was really cute. Now, I don't mean to rain on anyone's parade here, because, I don't do that sort of thing.
You never.
But the mom coached him to do these things and set the shot up and all that stuff. But
make sure to wave, make sure to,
But still, it was really cute to see. It would have been nice to see the other side, to see his reaction to their reaction.
Like if she did an after video of, they did whatever,
So I guess parades are back at Disney.
Well, it's still the cavalcades where they're not announced. They just kind of happen by chance, and there's usually only like 1 or 2 floats from what I understand, so nothing
our strategy
full blown yet.
So our strategy of using the parades to get on short lines doesn't work, but we do have another suggestion that might work. Let's talk about that one.
I don't know if we really want to say that this is a suggestion to use. So, this is one of those, there's always some Florida man story of, something stupid that somebody in Florida did. So, of course, this week, no exception. So, obviously, for those that plan Disney trips and everything, there are books and blogs telling you how to have a magical Disney World experience. But one Florida man discovered the ultimate travel hack, using an app that lets you skip the lines. An app that everybody would want for sure. But the catch is the app was running on a possibly stolen cast member iPad. So a local Florida news station reported that this 30-year-old person had allegedly did this last June. Using the unauthorized device, he was able to give himself and a group traveling through the park with him a jump to the front of the line. So according to the report, he was leading an unauthorized tour in Hollywood studios using the iPad to skip lines for the park's rides by making reservation overrides. So one Disney World fan site theorized that he may have been taking advantage of Disney's system that lets people with disabilities reserve certain times for a ride so that they don't have to wait in line. This would seemingly agree with a quote reported by WDW News Today, which classified the app as a private app for qualifying guests that's only installed on devices owned by Disney World. However, this person was pulling it off. It seemed like it was both easier and better and less confusing than the FastPass MaxFast reservation system, which obviously we've talked about before, it's the antiquated system, which is due to be replaced by the new service Genie Plus, which we've also talked about as well. So as with every travel hack, there are some minor trade-offs and inconveniences. This person ended up having to give back the iPad to a Disney investigator and was issued a warning by Disney for trespassing. He reportedly told authorities that he didn't know it was stolen.
Oh, I didn't know that was stolen. I thought you gave these to everybody.
Right. And there was one conversation going on where somebody so he was doing these unauthorized tours, and they thought like he was posting on Craigslist or something. Like, yeah, that's where I'm gonna book a tour
right,
through Craigslist. That seems totally reputable, you know.
Well, and they had even speculated in the article itself that the iPad itself hadn't been reported as stolen.
Right.
Which makes me wonder, was there a cast member who was involved with this?
Right, exactly, because they were actually talking about this on the local radio station the other day, and they were saying, you mean to tell me that, you know, they couldn't do an IP search or something and find out? Like, obviously you had to use a username and a login, a password, to probably get into the thing.
And it's an iPad. There's a built-in tracker built into the iPad to see where these things are at all times.
Somebody had to have known something.
Yeah.
You know.
There's something fishy going on there.
It was stolen from my car. Well, I'm guessing it probably shouldn't have even left the park.
Exactly.
You know, I'm guessing it's one of those things that, I thought this was my own personal one. Big giant mouse sticker on the back of it.
Somebody's getting fired over this one.
Yeah. So that was kind of funny.
But that was all we had for our Disney Detective this week. We'll take a quick break, and I'll be back with our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy. For over 7 years, the Second Sith Empire has been the premier community guild in the online game Star Wars: The Old Republic. With hundreds of friendly and helpful active members, a weekly schedule of nightly events, annual guild meet and greets, and an active community both on the web and on Discord. The Second Sith Empire is more than your typical gaming group. We're family. Join us on the Starforge server for nightly events such as operations, flashpoints, world boss hunts, Star Wars trivia, guild lottery, and much more. Visit us on the web today at www.thesecondsithempire.com. And our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy this week, since I pushed the right button this time.
Awesome!
Hasbro unveils new Star Wars merchandise. If you're a Star Wars geek like me, you probably eagerly await the annual reveal from Hasbro. Well, this year's line of merchandise is out, so you don't have to wait any longer. Hasbro's latest additions to the Black Series and the Vintage Collection lines of models are out, including a replica of Rey Skywalker's iconic lightsaber from Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. The new products were unveiled during Hasbro's Star Wars Fan First live stream and will include many fan favorites such as the Mandalorian and Grogu, Emperor Palpatine, Stormtroopers, and Lando Calrissian. All the toys and models revealed by the toy maker will be available to purchase from the spring of 2022, but no official date has been revealed. Hasbro indicates this new Force Effects lightsaber is their most realistic one to date and will feature a real metal handle, which all the other ones do, but it will feature the first twist to ignite feature, which was demonstrated in the actual movie itself. It'll have battle clash and blaster effects as well as molted blade tip effects, which all the other ones, the new ones, have at this point too. The yellow blade, made famous by Rey in the film, is removable, and the lightsaber comes with a stand for display. This offers anyone with a lightsaber the option to use the model as a toy or to light up any room as a centerpiece. Available at most major retailers, the approximate retail price will be $264.99. It is available for pre-order now, by the way, I noticed. Hasbro also unveiled an epic batch of Galactic Figures coming to the toy company's Black Series line. 8 brand new models will be added to the line and will include 6-inch models of the Mandalorian and Grogu, Leia Organa, and numerous characters from the Mandalorian television series. While the Mandalorian and Grogu figure will retail for $36.99, all other figures in this announcement will retail for the same lower price of approximately $26.49. The final group of figures Hasbro is releasing features new additions to their vintage collection line of models. Some of the models include characters from the original trilogy, including Emperor Palpatine, Lando Calrissian, Stormtroopers, Bib Fortuna. Also included in Hasbro's announcement is a retro-inspired prototype Stormtrooper, which has a multicolored body armor, as opposed to the traditional white and black. Figures in the vintage line collection also vary in price, ranging from $13.99 to $41.99, although most of the items are at the lower end of the scale. So this is kind of like the pre-Christmas announcement type thing that I always like to see, where
Absolutely.
what's the new stuff coming out.
Right.
You know, the biggest thing that I think I'm interested in is probably going to be the lightsaber.
Of course, because you have all the ones.
Well, and the last two that came out, because you got me the Palpatine one, you got me the Revan one. Both of them are awesome. They're the effects on the new ones are
You can
really
definitely
neat.
see how it's evolved from
Absolutely.
the first ones to to
Well,
now. So.
and the first one that you ever got me is my Gen 1 Force Effects back when, before Hasbro was doing them, Force
Right.
Effects was doing them. And it's the Gen 1 Darth Vader.
Right.
And I still have that one.
Yep.
And you can really see the improvement in material and quality and crafting and everything through the time. Now you got all kinds of effects with these and everything.
Right. Right.
So I'm kind of excited to see how they're a little more expensive though. The original Force Effects were going somewhere in the range of the $150 to $200
Yeah, weren't they
range.
like $199? I think.
Yeah, you can get them between
So.
$150 and $200. But and they're pretty cool. I like the new stands too. You can't hang them on the wall, which I'm not a big fan of.
Right, that's something where we need to look at like Etsy again
Yeah,
to kind of
yeah.
find you something to put them all together on one thing. So
I don't want to wait till the spring for this stuff though. But anyway,
supply and demand, honey.
if I don't want to wait till the spring, December's right around the corner, right?
True.
So in December, The Art of Star Wars, The Mandalorian Season 2 is coming. If you're jonesing for your fill of The Mandalorian while we wait for the much-anticipated third season, you might not have to wait much longer. Lucasfilm announced The Art of Star Wars, The Mandalorian Season 2, a hardcover collection of concept art chronicling the making of the hit Disney Plus original series. Written by Lucasfilm's Phil Szostak, the book arrives December 14th and comes filled with concept art, character, vehicle, weapon, and creature designs. Also included are interviews with key crew and creatives, including show creator, executive producer, and writer Jon Favreau, and executive producer, director, and writer Dave Filoni. In addition, the cover features new artwork by Lucasfilm legend Doug Chiang, created exclusively for this release. The Art of Star Wars, The Mandalorian Season 2 arrives December 14th and is available for pre-order now. Now, I don't generally collect the art books.
You have.
I have a
You
couple.
actually do have quite a few of them. But we don't have a coffee table,
Right.
to lay them out. So unfortunately, they're all on.
They're on bookshelves.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't really get to enjoy them as much on the bookshelves.
Yeah, it's usually once you get it, you kind of look through it and then.
Well, that was like you got me the Star Wars Vault years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still haven't even opened it. That thing is still primed and wrapped in the plastic at this
So
point.
how much can we get for it on eBay?
I don't know. I haven't looked it up.
Yeah.
But the problem with the books is just they're so damn heavy.
Right.
You know?
That is true. But the nice thing too is, if you watch The Mandalorian, or they even do it with Marvel with What If as well, when they roll the credits, they show all these concept art pictures.
Right.
So that's what's always kind of a cool thing when we've watched the Mandalorian show, is to wait till the credits and actually watch the different art that they came up with to see what their vision of a certain scene was and how true they matched it to the actual show.
What's kind of neat is everyone knows and loves the Ralph McQuarrie art that was all the concept art for the original trilogy, none of which ever made it in its original form into the movies. But you can see the inspiration as it goes along. And seeing the sketches and the concept art does the same thing at the end of the episode, where you can see what that inspiration was and what those original ideas were and how it kind of evolved from that into the final product.
Right.
So it's a great glimpse, and I'm hoping the book itself has a lot of that concept art in there, so you can get that behind the scenes. Like, you can watch interviews and you can see the behind the scenes, footage and stuff that the documentaries did. But the artwork itself is really the root of all of it. That's where that imagination starts.
Yeah.
And to see the evolution of that is actually really neat, to see how the developers' brains are actually working with this stuff.
Yeah.
So that was all we had for our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy. We'll be back in a minute with our entertainment news of the week.
Insights into Teens, a podcast series exploring the issues and challenges of today's youth. Talking to real teens about real teen problems. Explore issues from braces to puberty, social anxiety to financial responsibility. Each week, we talk about the topics concerning today's youth. We look at how the issues affect teens, how to cope with these issues, and how parents, friends, and loved ones can help teens handle these challenges. Check out our video episodes on youtube.com/insightsintothings. Catch our audio versions on podcast.insightsintoteens.com or on the web at insightsintothings.com.
Go for entertainment news.
So, if you're a fan of David Tennant, and let's be honest, who isn't? Then there is a treat coming to you from BBC. So, David Tennant takes on the iconic role of Phineas Fogg in the upcoming BBC One adaptation of Jules Verne's classic novel Around the World in 80 Days. Complete with a rather dashing mustache, Tennant travels on his globe-trotting adventure, flanked by his traveling companions, Passepartout and Abigail Fix. Filmed in Cape Town, Africa, which moonlights as locations in Yemen, Tennant and his company will travel to the port town of
Yeah, I'm not even going to help you with that one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Various areas that... Basically, they filmed everything in Cape Town, and it's going to look like other various desert areas throughout the story.
Al-Hudaydah.
Sure, and the empty quarter, and the desert that is on the way to the city of Aden. So Tennant as Phineas Fogg, the intrepid adventurer, and his
Ingenuity.
Oh, geez. Ingenuity and clever contraptions are put to the test through the voyage. His companion, I guess it's...
Abraham
Coma, stars as Passepartout, who is Fogg's trusty French sidekick who goes with him every step of the journey. And then the Crown star, Lonnie Benesh plays Abigail Fix, a journalist who accompanies the men in order to chronicle the adventure. So production on the 8-episode series wrapped in March this year, and the show will be the latest in a long line of adaptations of Jules Verne's classic story, which Tennant follows in the footsteps of the likes of David Niven, Pierce Brosnan, and Steve Coogan, who all had played Fogg.
That was very good, sweetheart. You did very good pronouncing all those. And you put the article in this week.
What was I gonna do? Yeah. So that guy. Oh, and that one. Yeah.
You need to screen the articles and only get articles that don't have tough names in them.
Right. Exactly. Thanks.
So this actually looks kind of cool.
Yeah, it does. The trailer actually looked rather.
Yeah, I'm not going to play it. It's right here on the screen.
Right, because we don't want to get taken down for anything. But yeah, go and look for the Around the World in 80 Days teaser for BBC One. So hopefully it'll come out on BBC America probably after, I'm guessing.
Probably, yeah. I got to tell you, David Tennant looks pretty good with the mustache.
He does. He looks very dapper. There was actually a friend of mine who does a lot of different cosplay, and he was like, I need a 3-piece suit now so that I can pull this look off. So,
yeah, he looks really good like that.
Yeah.
Looks very serious, though.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, everyone, we always love everything he's in, he's awesome in. So
yeah. Even when we watched that one, like, detective drama where he was the bad guy.
Yes.
And it was like, it was kind of creepy because you're like, no, it's the doctor. He's not supposed to be bad.
I do get a kick out of the fact anytime he's in anything that revolves around traveling or time travel.
Right.
It's like, well, he's got that one mastered already.
Yeah,
right?
he knows how to do that.
He's got that down pat.
He's good like that.
So what else do we have today?
So it seems that Netflix has acquired the works of Roald Dahl, the late British author of celebrated children's books such as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The video streaming giant said on Wednesday that it acquired Roald Dahl's story company, which manages the rights of the author's characters and stories. So no financial terms were discussed, but the deal builds on a partnership that was actually struck in 2018 to create a slate of animated TV series under which Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is getting a reboot by Academy Award-winning filmmaker Taika Waititi. And Netflix is working with Sony on an adaptation of Matilda the musical. The new deal paves the way for Netflix to bring all of the author's back catalog to the screen. So these projects opened our eyes to a much more ambitious venture, the creation of a unique universe across animated and live-action films and TV, publishing, games, immersive experiences, live theater, consumer products, and more, said Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandis and Luke Kelly, managing director of the Roald Dahl story company, and Dahl's grandson, said in a joint statement. So Dahl had actually passed away in 1990 at the age of 74, but his books, which include the BFG, the Twits, and Fantastic Mr. Fox, remain popular with young readers, with more than 300 million copies sold worldwide and translations in 63 languages.
Now, I'm going to claim ignorance here. I was not aware that he was responsible for that many, popular books.
Mm-hmm.
I knew about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and that was
James
it.
and the Giant Peach is another one of his,
and it makes sense because it's in that same style of his. Yeah,
right.
He's got a very distinctive style.
Right, he has a very distinct style, and it's funny because because a lot of his things, if they're not live action, they've been doing like the claymation type thing. So like the Fantastic Mr. Fox is a perfect example, and James and the Giant Peach is a little bit live action, but also the claymation. I think the BFG was also claymation.
That stop motion style,
the stop motion animation. Yeah. So I don't know if it's just that's the area that they decided to go with and kind of kept going with
You know,
it, or
it's funny being a computer gamer. BFG has a whole different meaning to me. It is.
it does.
It is not big friendly giant. I can tell you that.
No, but it's funny because all of his stories. It's funny because they're children's stories, but they have a dark
That's
cloud
yes.
over them. Like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is not a really happy story unless you're Charlie. But even then, Charlie kind of has a very dismal.
I mean, they basically
upbringing.
torture the kids.
And then all of a sudden, hey, here's my chocolate factory. Spoilers, where all the other kids, they're all brats in one way, shape, or form, or the Fantastic
but
Mr.
That doesn't necessarily mean you can do what you did to him in the book.
Right, exactly. And then, the Fantastic Mr. Fox, it's like you're stealing the chickens, and, it's like...
Well, that's what foxes do.
Well,
so.
yeah, but it's one of those... I know there are people that are fans of all of his stuff, that, and it's one of those, we'll watch them, but I don't, honestly, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory scared the bejesus out of me when I was a kid.
He is not Disney.
He is definitely not Disney, hence why he's on Netflix.
Exactly. So that was all we had for our entertainment news this week. We'll be right back with our insightful picks. Go for your insightful pick.
So my insightful pick comes from a Disney Plus series. It's a teen family adventure story. So it is the Mysterious Benedict Society. So after winning a scholarship competition, 4 gifted orphans are recruited by the strange and unusual Mr. Benedict for a dangerous mission to save the world from a global crisis known as the Emergency. Rainy, Sticky, Kate, and Constance must infiltrate the evil LIVE Institute to discover the truth behind the crisis. When the headmaster, the sophisticated Dr. Curtin, appears to be behind this worldwide panic, the kids of the Mysterious Benedict Society must devise a plan to defeat him. The Mysterious Benedict Society is an American mystery adventure television series which is actually based on the children's books by Trenton Lee Stewart. The series stars Tony Hale as Mr. Benedict, who gathers the 4 children to stop the global emergency. Hale also portrays Benedict's twin brother, Mr. Curtin, who is the founder of the school the children are infiltrating. The series premiered on Disney Plus in June and consists of 8 episodes. So it's definitely a mystery show, very much like Sulphur Springs, which was a show that Maddie and I had watched over the summer. Lots of little plot twists and turns, and why are they doing this? It has a very, 1960s kind of feel to it, where you're not really sure when it's taking place. There's, television, there's TV, so the idea is that there are radio waves, subliminal messages that are going out into the airway that not everybody can hear, and that they're using children to be these messengers to send these message. And basically they talk about the emergency, but nobody knows what it is. Like, is it the end of the world? Is it, oh, we better go get this because the emergency is happening, but nobody talks about what it is. And what ends up happening is they do this competition to kind of find the best kids for this mission. And you have these, 4 orphans who basically come together and kind of come together as this super group of kids to try and help. So I think we're only 2 episodes or 3 episodes in. So
like the Traveling Wilburys.
Sure, we'll go with that. But it's really cute. It's definitely, something, for the family to watch together. So.
All right, cool pick.
Thank you.
So, my pick this week is a documentary on Netflix called Mercury 13. Mercury 13 is the untold story of women testing for spaceflight in the 1960s. In this Netflix documentary, the tales of 13 female pilots who dreamed of becoming astronauts yet were denied the opportunity by NASA are finally brought to light. When Neil Armstrong stepped on the surface of the moon, he declared that he had taken one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. But what if that one small step had been taken by a woman? What would that have represented at a time when the American public was just starting to wake up to women's rights? This new documentary film on Netflix hopes to answer that question. Mercury 13 explores the paths of 13 female pilots who were subjected to many of the same rigorous tests that all the male Mercury 7 were, and either passed or exceeded their male counterparts in every one of them. Despite the triumphant completion of many invasive tests, they were still prevented from entering NASA's space training program. This despite the fact that NASA's direct competition in Russia was moving forward with the first woman in space. The film details many of the physiological and psychological testing that these heroic women had to endure. The same testing the men went through, and in many cases didn't fare nearly as well. It chronicles their journey in the early 1960s when the space race heated up with the Russians. The documentary details the storied and impressive flying history of all the women in the program, talking about how they got into flying and what some of their inspirations were. The same doctor who conducted the government-funded test on the male astronauts had to find private funding to fulfill his ambition of proving that women were just as capable because the government refused to fund the research. The film also details the legal challenges the women raised before Congress and culminates with their finally being honored by NASA at the launching of the first space shuttle piloted by a woman. It's a touching and inspirational story that is indicative of the sad state of affairs our society was in with regard to the equal rights for women in the 1960s. While the program shows us how far we've come to combat some of these discriminatory behaviors, it also serves to shine a light on the progress yet to be made in the search for equality for everyone, regardless of gender, race, ethnicity, religion, or identity. It's programs like this that help me see a brighter tomorrow for our own future female engineer, and it's an inspiration to all young women that you should never let anyone tell you that you can't achieve your dreams. The show itself, it was a very low-key documentary, and what I liked about it was they went and they talked to all of these women, and these women conveyed the stories themselves. It wasn't stuff that was stock footage and, historians that were reading it. They actually talked to the women, and you could hear in their voices the emotion and the disappointment and the betrayal that they felt by their own country after going through everything that they went through. And a lot of these women started out with flying for during the war or after the war. Their parents had flown the Women Auxiliary Corps that did their part for the war at the time, and they felt a patriotic surge that they wanted to be a part of this. And it was literally just male chauvinism that shut the whole thing down. While the whole time the Russians were in the process of doing the same very thing itself. And it was one of those things where we had a head start. This was one of those things that we had a head start. We had 13 women before Russia even thought about it. We had 13 women who had gone through these tests and were qualified, and they just shut the program down. We actually had a chance to be one of the first before, because the only first we've ever won with the Russians in the space race was stepping on the moon.
Right.
And that was at the end of the decade. And we could have won this one here and had multiple women in space. And one of the things that I thought was very interesting was one of the tests that they did was a sensory deprivation chamber, and they took the women and they put them in this pool of water, this giant pool of water in a big room, completely dark, and they made them neutrally buoyant, so they just floated there. They had earplugs in, and they set the temperature of the water and the air to their body temperature, so they couldn't even feel the water. They literally, they were trying to simulate weightlessness in space.
Okay.
And the women excelled at this. They could spend hours in this chamber, and they said the men, that when they went through this, they went bonkers within like 15 minutes. They couldn't stand it. And it was funny to see the dynamic between the genders and how they could handle these things. And it was almost indicative of, okay, well, if you're going to send somebody on a 6-month mission to Mars, you're probably better off sending women on that than men, because the men are probably going to go insane and kill each other.
Right, before they even get there.
Right. So it was really neat to see some of these comparisons that they did, and some of the comments that the astronauts, because they showed stock footage of some of the astronauts, and some of the comments that they made. And we saw it when we were watching the space program on Netflix, that one series that we watched.
Right.
And they really took it from that stock footage, because it was just insult. Even now, I see that stuff, and it irks me now to see what these barbarians were saying. But the show itself was actually very good. It was about 2 hours long. It wasn't incredibly long, but very well done. They showed footage. They showed time with the women, and it's something that would serve as an inspiration to anybody, not just other women. But Mercury 13 on Netflix. We'll be right back. So what else do we have? We have some afterthoughts. What are we talking about today?
So this coming weekend in Oaks, Pennsylvania is
RetroCon.
So the show is on Saturday and Sunday. The Saturday times are from 10 to 5:30, and tickets are $20 at the door. Sunday is from 9 to 4, and tickets are $15 at the door, and kids 12 and under are free. And again, it's at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center in Oaks, Pennsylvania. Also this weekend is Monster Mania 47 in Hunt Valley, Maryland. Whole lot of celebrities are going to be there. Actually, a boatload of some really good people. So if you're in the area, definitely a show to go and see. Then October 2nd through 3rd, back at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center is Brickfest. So if you are a Lego aficionado, this is definitely the show for you. And then, of course, we have the 2 toy shows in October as well, October 9th and 10th. We have the Delaware Train Show on Saturday, and on Sunday is the Oktoberfest Toy Show, both housed at the Nurse Shrine Center in Newcastle, Delaware. Unfortunately, we had months ago had talked about Wizard World Philadelphia coming to the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center sometime in November. Now, if you try and look it up, there's no information about it. If you go to the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center website, they don't even list it. And now it almost has it if you do a Google search, it gives you dates for the Philadelphia Convention Center, which is where it has always been before. But when you go to the convention website, they don't have anything listed. So I'm guessing Wizard World Philadelphia, which now became that other company, probably isn't going to happen this year, unfortunately. So
that's what it looks like. We'll keep checking, though, and if we find any information,
if we find anything out, it does
we'll
look like Wizard World Chicago is going on, and I think that's going to be the last event that Wizard World sanctions.
And that's what they said, when we had the article on the show.
So no information about anything else. So
yep. So before we do go, I would invite our listening and viewing audiences to subscribe to the podcast. You can get audio versions of this podcast listed as Insights into Entertainment. Video versions of the podcast can be found listed as Insights into Things. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Podbean. I want to throw Podbean out there. They're our new video hosting provider. We're on Castro. Buzzsprout is our audio provider. Pandora we're on. Pretty much any place you can get a podcast these days. I would also ask you to write to us. Give us your show notes, your suggestions. We would love to get more shows that are coming up in your area that we can plug. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com.
You can find us on Twitter at insights_things.
We're on Facebook at facebook.com/insightsintothingspodcast.
You can find us on Instagram at instagram.com/insightsintothings.
You can get audio versions of this podcast on the web at podcast.insightsintoentertainment.com.
You can find video versions of all of our different podcasts at youtube.com/insightsintothings.
You can find video versions of this podcast now on our host at podcast.insightsintothings.com. I threw you off there, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I'm like, and we stream 5 days a week on Twitch. You can find us at twitch.tv/insightsintothings.
Or you can go to our official website and get all that and more at www.insightsintothings.com. That's it.
I think that's it.
Another one in the books.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.